Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Samantha and I make videos on minimalism, productivity, my low buy no buy lifestyle, intentional living and wealth building. And so today I want to share with you my 15 pieces of advice for 18-year-olds and young adults. My first piece of advice is to try and stay at home for as long as possible. Don't jump too quickly into trying to run your own household. Your bills will increase exponentially. You'll have rent to pay, utilities to pay, groceries to buy, etc., etc. Instead, try and stay home for as long as you can so you can save as much money as possible. Some young adults are able to stay at home for long enough to save up a small deposit for their first home. And you won't be alone. It's estimated that between 15 to 16% of 25 to 35-year-olds are still living at home in America, and that percentage shoots up to 25% in the UK. My second piece of advice is to open up a high yield savings account. When it comes to making money, people often forget the most simplest of things, and a high yield savings account is a tried and tested method for growing your money. To be brutally honest with you, not very many people can become an overnight expert in stock markets, and it's unlikely that you'll be able to turn $100 into $100,000 in 2 years' time. But if you concentrate on the tried and tested routes such as a high yield savings account, you will be ensuring that your money is continuing to grow. My third piece of advice is to set aside budget for fun things like going on holidays, buying clothes, going out. You're only young once and you should really enjoy it. Although it's not good to spend your money recklessly, if you're always having an eye on the future, you forget to enjoy the present moment. So it's up to you what percentage of income you want to save and what percentage you want to spend on fun things. But when I was at university and I was working part-time across the weekends, I would save 50% of my income and the other 50% I would spend on fun things. Now I was only able to save such a high percentage because I was still living at home and all my bills were essentially paid for. My fourth piece of advice is to make sure you set aside money on payday. This is something that I still do to this day, and once I put my money away in my savings, I'm very reluctant to dip into it. In my mind, once it's in my savings, it's untouchable. My fifth piece of advice is to learn where to invest your money. Now when you're a beginner, it can be really daunting to know where to put your money, but there are three simple places that you can start. The first is in high yield savings accounts, as we've discussed already. The second is in property, so you'll need to save up a lump sum and then you'll need to go to the banks and figure out how much you can borrow, and also investigate government-backed schemes that are appropriate for your circumstances. And the third place you can invest is in yourself through training and courses. Whatever subject and skill you pick, make sure that you not only enjoy it but also that it's marketable, because we are talking about financial return on your investment. My sixth piece of advice is not to get taken in by get-rich-quick money-making schemes. Don't just steam in there and try to play the stock markets because you've seen a couple of YouTube videos. If you're not experienced, what it essentially boils down to is you gambling with your money. Also, be careful of those millionaires that pop up on YouTube advertisements shouting at you, asking you if you want to get rich quick. Tempting as those things might be, remember that overnight success stories are the exception and not the rule. My seventh piece of advice is to get a credit card and use it responsibly. And by that I mean make sure to pay off the full amount that you've borrowed on the card at the end of every month. The bank will notice your behavior and they'll start to raise how much you can borrow over time, and they'll increase your credit limit. And when it comes time to borrowing a substantial amount of money, so for example for a mortgage, when financial institutions do a background check on you, they'll be more confident to lend you more money because they'll have proof that you have a history of paying it back. A credit card should be used as a tool and should not be seen as a way to get access to extra money that you don't have. My eighth piece of advice is if you can't afford something, then don't buy it. If you don't have all the money in your bank account to buy something, and that's money that you've actually saved and earned, then don't buy that thing. Either save up for it or put it out of your mind. If you can't buy something outright, then you simply can't afford it. My ninth piece of advice is to start a side hustle. I actually have a video on this channel talking about different side hustles that you can do. I'll link that video in the description below and also in the cards above. There are so many options you could explore. You could take on another job, you could freelance out a skill, you could walk dogs, you could start an online business. The job market is changing so rapidly that having multiple sources of income insulates you from some risk. My 10th piece of advice is to research student loans and any type of loans you want to take out. Now that doesn't mean you have to do a straight deep dive into the terms and conditions. Jump onto the internet, see other people who have taken out similar loans and how it's affected them, and that can be your starting point before you delve deep into the small print. This way, you'll make sure you go into things with your eyes wide open. My 11th piece of advice is to pay off high interest debt first, and if appropriate, look into consolidating your loans. If you have multiple loans, see if you can put them together together so that there is one affordable monthly payment to make, and then aggressively pay off that loan. Accruing debt can be a slippery slope, so make sure you nip things in the bud and tackle things head on. My 12th piece of advice is don't loan out money you can't afford to lose. It's okay to say no, or that you can't afford to loan money to family and friends in need, but it's also natural to want to help. So if you do loan out money, then be aware that it might take a long time to see that money back, and there might be a small risk that you won't see that money at all. Only loan out an amount of money that you can afford to lose. My 13th piece of advice is be careful of the company you keep and the social media you consume. If you surround yourself with conspicuous consumption, then you will normalize that behavior, and it's inevitable that you might start to mimic that behavior. If you're very serious about making good financial decisions, then why not seek out like-minded friends and also social media content that will align with your goals. My 14th piece of advice is to unsubscribe from marketing emails. If you're a shopper and you get tempted by deals in marketing emails, then simply unsubscribe. Advertising is so insidious, you might be able to resist the first instance, but if you keep seeing a product again and again that you might want, then it's inevitable that you might cave at one point and purchase something that you don't really need. And my 15th piece of advice is to learn about all aspects of money, whether that be learning how to get a raise, or how robo-advisors work, or how different banking products work, or what different mortgages are available to you, etc, etc. Obviously you don't have to do all of this all at once. Just look at what aligns most with your goals right now and do that thing. So if you're looking for a pay rise, then investigate how to make sure you can get a pay rise. And with that, I come to the end of my 15 pieces of advice for young adults and 18-year-olds. As always guys, I hope you found this video useful, and I'm going to link more wealth building and personal finance videos in the description below and also in the cards above. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!